Hello and welcome to the inaugural episode of the Tony Talks Texas Racing Podcast. Joined today by my good friend Chance Rains. Chance, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Tony. I'm happy to be here and I'm honored to be on the inaugural episode. Really excited about this Memorial Day card at Lone Star Park.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Well, as you mentioned, we're going to be going over the Memorial Day Millions card over here at Lone Star, and we're just going to be going through the entire card for your listening pleasure. All right. Without further ado, let's get into it with the first race. A maiden special weight, 6 furlongs for Texas accredited maidens, Texas bred. Who did you have here, Chance?
I took a shot with a superfecta here. My selections for this race go 5, 6, 3, 1. 5, in my mind, look like the likeliest winner out of all of these horses. Did sift through the field, and 6 looks like he could run on late if the pace is really hot. I don't think he'll beat the 5 to get the second. The 3 and the 1, I mainly think if they could lean on their pedigrees as potential. The Yapons have been really hot as a debuting sire, and the one I just kind of threw in there, he has Giacomo BMS, and you know how much I love the 2005 generation.
Yep.
I cannot leave them alone if I see one of them in a pedigree. So yeah, 5 looked like he had the most to gain and was probably the best one out of this group.
Yeah, I felt you on the 5. I gave him a good long look, but in the end, I actually went ahead with the 3 Yomo, just
Mm.
kind of based on that Yaupon pedigree. And to be honest, here at Lone Star, I've seen a couple of Yaupon first time starters kind of flop. Surprisingly so, to be honest to me, because we saw him do pretty good over at Remington and all those other tracks. I mean, he's just been a standout first time starter sire. But I ended up going with the 3 over the 1, and then I put the 7 in contention. Just with the 7, just second time running with
Mhm.
gets Ernesto Jimenez up on board. He's been a good rider down here. I was kind of interested in the long layoff, coming back
Yeah,
after a whole
on for over
year.
a year.
And the works, he's been posting pretty decent works. I just thought he might have a chance in with this, but I went with the 3 Yomo. The works aren't anything impressive, but I guess we're gonna talk about it now. Obviously, the forecast isn't looking the greatest. Let's not talk about the W word, but the forecast kind of looks a little bit on the nasty side. And he's had a couple of works over the mud, so I don't think that's going to be as much of an issue for him as as it might be for some of these others that haven't been exposed out to it.
Yeah, I can see that. There definitely is a lack of mud form out of this pack. I like what you said about the 7. I thought just based on that one long layoff, he didn't look that bad in his debut race, but like over a year off, and then it was a really low percentage move by this trainer. 0%, no ROI based on 180 plus. There were a lot of low percentage moves on that 7 that kind of kept me away. I think second time back, I think I'd be interested in playing this horse, but maybe not. Maybe not first off this layoff.
Yeah, I totally get you on that. I couldn't go with Hoosfoos, the number 5. Just he's had 4 chances up here and he's gotten close in each one, and just really didn't finish that kick out. He just kind of
Mm,
he
yeah.
ran up behind him, and just like the notes say, he chased the winner. Chased the winner in both of
Hmm.
those second place finishes. He definitely is the class of this field, though. I'll give you that much. And he definitely has a good shot at this. But I'm going to go with what I think is going to be a price in the 3 with Yomo. Do you
Yeah.
got anything else to talk about this race?
I don't know. I felt like the 3 looking at it, like I guess the 5 and the 3 did feel like they would go off as the shorter prices of this field.
Yeah, the 2 being 2-1 is really surprising to me. I don't really see how the morning line maker got to that conclusion.
I don't
Stewart
think that sticks.
Yeah,
I
Stuart
don't think
Elliott's
that'll
a great
stick.
jock and all, but I mean, I don't think he'll command that 2-1 price point.
Yeah, I agree on that.
Yeah. And the one looked nice as well.
Mhm.
Coming second start here. He only just started out back in May as a 3-year-old, and the connections are hitting at 24%. Capalucci with Juarez, so I think he's got a good
Mhm.
shot at it too. But ultimately, I went with the 3 Yomo.
Yeah, and I will be on the 5 Who's Who's.
All right, let's go on to the second race. A $7,500 claimer, going 5.5 furlongs for the fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. All right, who'd you have, Chance?
For this one, I've got a 614. Uh, One, I think you probably aren't gonna get the price you want on the one. The Asmussen duo are probably gonna take a lot of money, given that Steve Asmussen is who he is. So he's got a lot of shots on this card. So if if he's at a price, I wouldn't mind taking the one. I think the 6 is going to rate really nicely behind that one, and he's going to get the jump on him to get to the wire before he does. And then what did I have in the 4? Oh, the 4, Texas Red. You know I got to go with the Fleet Alex pedigree. So I've got the
Yeah.
4 in there based on pedigree, just because Fleet Alex is my favorite horse, and Texas Red is the most successful sire by my favorite horse.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I went with the 6 as well. Happy Kiera. Did you see that the connections numbers, Diodoro with Giovanni Franco?
Oh, I don't know. Oh my gosh.
58%. They're hitting
And a
58%.
3.5 ROI as well,
Yeah,
which
you
is
would
really high.
yeah, you would hope to see that with a 58% win rate together
Hmm.
in 31 starts too. So it's not necessarily a small sample size either.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also found it interesting how Giovanni Franco went with Happy Kiera over the number 3 Helena Baby, who's also trained by Diodoro, who he also rode out last time to a victory.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true. A lot of times where jockeys end up going if they've got past past horses on the same race can usually be really telling on who they like or who they usually do business with.
Yeah, entirely, entirely.
Yeah.
And then kind of similarly, I went with the 1 in second place. Just shipping down from Oaklawn,
Hmm.
it's definitely
Yeah.
it's a higher class track. We all know this.
Hmm.
Uh, I can't. I don't have the stats available right now of how Oaklawn shippers come into Lone Star do, but he's coming from a 12.5 main claimer, dropping into the 7.5 claiming purse. His first time out against winners, but I figure the pace scenario kind of sets up pretty well for him. The 3 is gonna take some very early pace, and some of these others are gonna chase up in behind him. The 4 has some early pace back in his
Hmm.
pedigree too, in some past races.
Yeah.
So
I
I
thought if the
think,
2 gets out too, the 2 could also or he'll want the lead. I don't think he'll get it.
yeah, definitely. The 3's probably gonna be on the lead for the start.
Yeah.
I think the 2 could definitely be up there pressing the pace with him, but I agree with you on the 6. Yeah, just going to sit a very nice trip
Yeah.
just right off the pace. Is going to make one move. Does scare me that it's his first time against winners, but what can you do really in a 7.5 claimer, right?
Yeah, he's got a really light record too. He's only run 3 times, so like he's got a higher ceiling, I think, than most of these horses.
Yeah, for sure. You got anything else to say about the race number 2?
Um, no, I think I've said my piece on this.
All right, good deal. Let's go ahead and move right along to race number 3, a starter optional
Oh
claiming for
man.
15,000. 7.5 furlongs on the turf. Our first one that might be put off, possibly. But let's go with the idea that we stay fast and firm first.
Yeah, yeah. Let's hope we don't see any of these races taken off. I think that the turf opportunities on this card are definitely where you're going to find your prices. This race gave me a headache
Oh,
with
yeah,
all of these
same here.
runners. Yeah, I inevitably landed on the 9, followed by 3, followed by is that a 2 or I can't even read my own notes. Yeah, I think 9 through 12, I believe, is what I landed on. I
Interesting.
think, yeah, uh,
Not going with the
yeah,
7 at
I
all?
think no, I didn't. Okay, let me just get it right. this is where it's like, well, I wrote about this yesterday, and now I can't read these notes. I think the seven's dangerous in this spot. I think, however, we gotta take chaos. You always have to think about chaos in
True.
these fields, and I mean, I think if I had taken that fourth horse, I think seven probably would have been the fourth horse I would have taken. I just think the nine has more value in 4 turf starts. I think the nine has a lot of potential. He's also coming down from the California circuit to the Arkansas circuit into the Texas circuit, which I think is really interesting, and I think that might indicate that this horse has more class than we're giving him credit for. What did I like about the three? Great. Right, the three. Right. There's like so many numbers on this page. I'm like, the three is that one.
Yeah, our turf
Okay.
turf
But
races always get filled out because there's just not as
yeah,
many of them.
yeah. That always makes for good racing. The bigger the field is, the better the racing, in my opinion. I mean, you can get some good races with some three-horse races though too. Good racing is the racing that happens. Period.
True, very true. What do
Uh,
you like about the
yeah.
three?
I liked about the three. His last start turned out a really high number. His probably what is that? Yeah, the highest he's ever turned. He turned a 91 in a third place finish, going a mile, cutting back a little bit in distance, rising in class a little bit. But I think that might indicate he's getting ready to run in his best form. So I really thought the three looked interesting from that perspective. And the 12 I thought was going to be the early speed and could just take the field gate to wire. He's shown he can do it before, and he will probably do it again. So, and then you mentioned the seven, and I think the seven definitely looked likely. I just was hunting for a bit of more of a price in this chaotic 12 horse field.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that. I ultimately went with the seven just because, I mean, he's the outstanding class here. You know, coming in from 3 allowance races, a second place, a victory, and a sixth place on that first try. Uh, this last victory came at the mile. He's only cutting back half a furlong. He did take all of the stretch to get up in the end in that last race, but I think with Floyd Weatherly aboard, I don't think he's going to have any issue making his move at the right time and being able to get up in time like the last time as well. In second place, I went with the 12 as well, just because there's not a ton of speed, to be honest. Definitely not a ton of turf form speed in this field. Like you got Shogun Be Fast, the 10, kind of looks to be kind of an early pace here. Um, the 8, Coastal Brink, coming in from a rained off turf race, has a little bit of speed in those previous races on turf. But otherwise, I didn't really see too much else that could be pressing the pace. And I think with Floyd or with with Mario Fuentes aboard, I think he can get from the outside and clear to the front and just kind of make the pace his own way all the way around. Uh, so I think those are probably our two best shots: the class of the 7 and the pace of the 12.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with that. I still think I like my nine, but I agree with you on both of those points. Is that there really didn't seem like there'd be much pace. That the 12 might get pushed a little bit, but not pushed hard enough to affect him very much.
Yeah, for sure. That's just
Yeah,
about all I have for this race.
yeah. About don't have much left to say about race number three.
All right, we're moving on to the
That
first
one's gonna
stakes
be a
race
good.
of the card. Yeah, race 3 should be fun. Will definitely give us an idea of how the turf is going to be playing.
Hmm.
All right, let's move on to the first stakes race of the card. Race 4, the Memorial Day Sprint, fillies and mares. And you have last year's winner taking this first spot, Mystic Lake. Who did you
Yeah,
ultimately go up with in this? I just kind of went with the chalk. I went with Mystic Lake.
I followed you on the chalk. I think this is the type of race Mystic Lake wins every day of the week. It's exactly her type of class, black type, not graded, but just at that level that she likes to win at. She's coming off of 2 pretty nasty tilts in the Madison and the Vagrancy. Second in the Vagrancy, I think she'll be ready to rumble here. And I didn't need to see much. If I see Mystic Lake in a field, it's not like the Madison. I usually end up taking Mystic Lake.
Yeah, I totally feel you on that. I don't know what the morning line maker was doing, making the 3 thermal the 6-5 morning line favorite. I don't know if he just made a mistake or what's going on with that. Um,
Yeah.
but Irad making his first start here at Lone Star
Mm-hmm.
on Mystic Lake. He's never raced at Lone Star, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not too much of a different track layout from, say, Gulfstream Park. They both have pretty short stretches in the end, so I don't think it'll affect him that much without having a ton of track knowledge.
Yeah, I think you could put Irad on any track and he'll figure it out
Yeah,
pretty quickly. He's the top rider in the country for a reason, and I think that even though it does, yeah, this is his first ride on Mystic Lake. Since last year at Keeneland, I think he'll be fine. I think he'll figure it out pretty quickly. I think the reason the three went off as the favorite is probably based on both Mystic Lake's second place to Grammy Girl in the Vagrancy and Thermal's wire to wire at Santa Anita in the 80,000 AOC with Frezu aboard. So I can see why, and also getting Saez, who's notoriously really good in Texas. So I think I can see what the morning liner was thinking, but Mystic Lake should have been the morning line favorite.
yeah, I agree. And just look at her form when she's on Lasix. I mean, it's in the past, whatever, how many this is, 20 races. All 3 of her Lasix starts have been victories. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't really see her being in any competition in this race.
Yeah, I don't think she'll struggle at all.
All right. Well, simple as that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Who do you have underneath?
I'll be
For
honest. I just kind of singled Mystic Lake and moved on after this race. I mean,
that's fair.
I'm more of a horizontal player than a
Mhm.
vertical. So, or
Yeah.
is it vertical?
I try to think.
What's the multi race? What are you drinking?
Uh,
I can't even
I
remember if
always
it's a
get them
vertical or
mixed up.
horizontal.
I always get them mixed
Anyways,
up.
I just
I think of it as multi-race, or it's either a multi-race wager or it's a single race wager.
yeah. Well,
So
I'm more of a
yeah.
multi race player, and I just kind of said, okay, Mystic Lake. I looked at the rest of the field, and I mean, there's a lot of pace in here, but also, it's a 6 furlong race,
Mhm.
so that's not really too surprising. I just
Mhm.
don't think any of these off the pace chances really stand any chance compared to
Mhm.
Mystic Lake.
Yeah, I agree completely. I thought, as we kind of said, I thought the three looked interesting from a second place perspective, just because the three was kind of the second best horse, and then I had the four in third. I think the four, as you mentioned, as a late pace kind of horse, I think the four could run on really nicely for show.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you on that.
Yeah. hmm Yeah,
All
that's
right,
all I wanted to say about that. I
sweet.
make these trifectas. I wanna at least explain them when I
Yeah,
craft these trifectas.
yeah, for sure. All right, we're going to move right along to race 5. $20,000 claimer, 6.5 furlongs for 3-year-olds and up. Who did you have here?
I went with the one to win. I had four in second, seven in third. This was kind of the 7 inning stretch, race five, because I don't have more than a couple lines of notes for this one. I just thought the one looked really interesting as an Instagram by Super Saver. I thought recent form looked pretty good. Turned a 90 Equibase figure last out at Sunland Park. I just thought the one looked like a good shot. I thought the three looked interesting that you could take a shot with Asmussen, but I also thought logically it's probably going to be the post time favorite because it's Asmussen.
Yeah,
So came to the four based on his recent form, second and the first, last two starts, and he is kind of this is a 20,000 claimer. Won his last 20,000 claimer at Lone Star, so I thought the four looked interesting from a second place perspective based on that. And The 7 I found kind of in third, more based on I think Golden Sense as his pedigree, and he definitely doesn't want the W word at all, based on recent form. But
Yeah.
if it all stays dry, I think he could turn it around and run on for third.
Yeah, I get you on that. I kind of went backwards on the top two choices for you. I kind of went 4 over the 1. The morning line favorite in the 4, the Washington bred, which was interesting to see down here. Had a couple of
Mhm.
tries up at stakes over at Emerald. Uh, didn't really work out too well for him. He came down to Turf Paradise, ran a pretty decent third at a pretty decent price in a stake over there, just a 30K stake, a juvenile, when he was 2. He's 3 now in a field of 4-year-olds. I don't think anyone else in this field is 3. So he gets the weight break. He gets about, what is that, 6 pounds? He gets 6 pounds on the rest of
I
his
think so, yeah.
field. He kind of faced the same company. It was non-winners of 2 last time, so he's stepping up one more. But he made well good use of that 6 pound weight break over his competition in the last race and was able to get up over his older rivals, sitting just off the pace before taking it up around the 3/4 mark and firing on. Deshaun Parker, great rider down here at Lone Star, firing at 18%. Evans also, great trainer here, firing 27%. Together, 33%. Won 2 races together of 6. I just think it's great connections here. A very good chance in a race with a lot of early speed on the front. I had the one up in for
It,
second. Like you said, the class kind of dropping back down to this 20K claimer area. I just thought he very well could get up for second, but I ultimately liked St. Bidgie the 4.
mhm. Yeah, I see what you mean about the one over the no the 4 of the 1. Sorry. Yeah, I think it also helps he's retaining his rider. He's already had success at this track. Clearly, he's shown that is capable of winning at this track at this level. I think these two are going to be a pretty clear exacta unless something drastic happens.
Yeah, and that's what I was seeing too. I don't really see anything separating these two unless the 3 is bringing some weird Oaklawn form here, and you know,
Hmm.
Asmussen owned
Yeah,
horses are always kind of a threat down
yeah,
here. But ultimately,
hmm,
yeah, I think the 4 and the 1 are going to be pretty inseparable. Exacta.
yeah. I agree with you on that.
All right, good deal. Well, let's move on to race 6, the Chamberlain Bridge. $100,000 stakes going 5 furlongs on the turf. Who do you like here?
Like the 5. Now, if I can, I think based on how he looked at fairgrounds, I think he's pretty much a lock here. Did run into the Shakertown last out at Keeneland. Had a rough go of it there against some of the best turf sprinters in the country. I think this is the level more that he wants. I think it I think he's going to also be able to pick up the pieces if need be. If he needs to rate, it looked like there was a lot of early speed in this race. So I think he could sit back. He seemed like the only horse that I found that could sit back and take a stalking trip compared to having to press on into a fast pace. I thought the 4 looked interesting for second, just based on the fact he's won his last 4 starts. He is moving up into stakes company, but one of those victories in his last 4 was in 250,000 stakes at Remington Park. So clearly he's shown he can get it done at this level. I just don't think he'll have the class to go up against the 5. And then I like 3. Mainly he's getting Jose Ortiz, Joe Sharp is a high percentage trainer around the country. And I think the 3 probably just outclasses what's left of this field. It very much feels like this could either somebody could either get loose or the race is going to fall apart based on the pace I've seen of this.
Yeah, ain't that how it always happens with 5 furlong sprints, right?
Oh yeah.
You can never tell. Yeah, I liked
Mm-hmm.
I like Jackman's ride a lot. He beat me pretty hard in that uh, the Great West Turf Sprint down at Remington Park.
Mm-hmm.
I was there that day. I'm pretty sure I bet Pat beat Brian, and he just carried that front running speed the whole way around. I thought he was going to give, and he never did. But ultimately, I went with your same top choice, usually wrong, the number 5. He's just clearly the class of this field. He's been running a lot of 5.5s, but he has form over the 5 furlong distance, being 4 for 5. 2 for 2 here at Lone Star as well. He won this same race last year on that yielding turf, which, if it comes in and it's yielding again, well,
Mm-hmm.
he set off the pace real well that day and just came with a run, beat Jackman's ride. There's a lot to like about the 5, being able to take the lead early or to sit off. He's just a very versatile horse, and Ramon Vasquez is a great rider around here in the Southern Circuit. Likewise, I put Jackman's ride in for second, just with a lot of early speed as well, coming off that 4-win streak coming into this race, and just great form over those 5 furlong distances. Whereas, usually Wrong's been coming over those 5.5 trips, which half a furlong, really what's it going to do to you? Too much to cut back a little bit. But ultimately, I did end up going with the 5, usually Wrong, over the 4, Jackman's ride.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right. We should be able to move on to race number 7. Allowance optional claimer, 15,000, going 6 furlongs, 3-year-olds and upwards. Who'd you have here?
I think this one's going to shock you. I landed on the 7 to win this one.
Really?
15 to 1 in the morning line.
Really?
Hear me out here. I think, just looking at the field, it looks like there's a lot of horses that are going to want to stalk. Now, I think somebody's going to take a look at this form in the jocks room, and they're going to say, boy, we really should push the lead because nobody wants to lead in this race. I think the 7 and maybe the 10 are the only two that really want the lead. If the 7 can get out there and set a 23 opening fraction, I think the 7 could go wire to wire. Just based on everybody kind of wanting to sit back and wait on everything, I think the 7 might have a shot if he can get that slow early pace going. I landed on the 5 for second place. Jose Ortiz, he knows what he's doing. If anyone's gonna sniff out anything going wrong, it's probably him. Traditionally good on the dirt. Horse that won last out at Oaklawn and a 50,000 claimer, coming down in class a little bit. Probably a more likely winner, but I'm willing to take a shot with the 7. Had 4 marked for third. Why did I have the 4 marked for third? I'm gonna change what pen I write in because this pen stinks. I think this 4 has more potential than his form initially appears on, coming off of a win at Oaklawn Park. You can come from off of it. You can come from way off of it. Lane Lucy, he's no slouch. Had a lot of troubled trips lately, and he had trouble in his win with 12,500 claiming 6 furlongs at Oaklawn. Had some traffic and was able to cut through that, win by 3/4 with Emmanuel Escobar. So I thought the 4 looked likely, and then I have the 10 kind of earmarked as a 4th choice because I think the 10 is the only other early speed in this race that could stick on given that lack of early pace. Now I do think somebody will take the initiative and push that pace, but I'm playing as if they're not going to think of that.
All right, interesting little opinion there. What'd you think about the 1, the 10-year-old winning last time out?
This definitely looked like a lateral move for the 1. I do think the new trainer bringing him back and getting that win after he was claimed is very impressive. And I was interested in the 1, just as the first horse you see in the race. But as I got through the card, I just kind of ended up shuffling him out of contention in my mind.
Yeah, I feel you on that. And kind of same way I was like, oh, the one, wins last time out at Oakland or at Lone Star at this track. New trainer, very good trainer first off the claim. He's looking pretty good. But then I got down and down, and I came over to Camp Evans, the 5, and I mean, really, he just looked a charm in this field. I mean, winning at a $50,000 claimer down at Oakland Park over the same trip and distance, I really couldn't fault him for that in one way or another. Getting Jose Ortiz aboard, and I mean, he just looks the best of this field, class wise, ability wise. I see what you're saying about there not being a lot of early pace up in this field, and front runners win a lot here down at Lone Star. But I couldn't fault Camp Evans for anything. He's had early speed back a few races when he was down at Gulfstream. He's definitely been sitting a little bit more off the pace when he came up to Arkansas, but I think he can have it kind of both ways. He can kind of send, and the W word. He broke his maiden on a sloppy track, so he's 1 for 1 on the wet dirt.
Makes sense. I can see that. I maybe spent a little too much time on this race trying to work out the pace scenarios when I noticed didn't feel like there was a lot of speed in the race, but I definitely agree. I think the 5 is the class of the field. High percentage jockey Jose Ortiz. He can kind of do it all. He could stalk or he could run front. I definitely agree on the 5 as a likely winner.
Yes, sir. I put up the 1 for second place. Just appreciation for our double-digit horses coming in and winning races. Do you remember Payne up at up at Oaklawn?
I don't remember. I think I missed that day.
No, he's like 11 now, and he's still chugging along in those optional claimer races up there at Oaklawn.
Man,
He's a war horse. I'll tell you that much.
man, that's impressive.
Yeah. All right. Well, you want to kick it off on race 8, Texas Derby?
Race 8. Oh, yeah. $300,000 Texas Derby, 3-year-olds. 6 horses in this field.
Unfortunately.
Mile and 16th. Yeah, I was shocked that, the $300,000 race was the one who drew the lightest field here.
Yeah.
This also was another field that I think sorted itself out pretty quickly, because you get the 5 Desert Gate. The only thing that scares me off Desert Gate is Bob Baffert, outside of California, has been deplorable lately.
Yeah.
But I feel like even Desert Gate couldn't screw this up.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I did some research before. I looked up Bob. Bob was actually a pretty good supporter of Lone Star in its first couple of years, in its first good stretch run. Bob would run a lot of horses down here, but it's been 8 years since the last time he ran a horse down
Wow.
here. And the last time was in 2018 in the, I think it was the Texas Turf Classic. Yeah, 8 years,
8 years.
since
That's
he's
incredible.
run back down here. But yeah, I was pretty upset with the 6-horse field too. We got a pretty decent field last year. I think it was about 10 horses. Express Kid was on the nominations list, and he was working down here at Lone Star. I was trying to figure out what went wrong with him on the training, or if he got sick or something. I'm almost kind of feeling like he's dodging Desert Gate, because they're both up on the pace horses. I couldn't blame Evans for dodging Desert
Yeah.
Gate. I mean, he's definitely the class and the pace and the everything of this field. I decided to get a little cute here. I went with the 6, Chad Allen. I'm thinking, just picture this, right? We got Desert Gate going up front. Steve has 3 horses in this race. I think he tries to press Desert Gate with both Vintage Cowboy and Zalaro, and just kind of sends them up with him to press. Desert Gate has shown an ability in the past to sit, second and then go on, but he really kind of needs the lead in his six race career. He's won.
Mhm.
The only races he's won is being, first or second. And I think if Steve tells Vasquez and Elliott to send on Zalaro and Vintage Cowboy, I think we could get a pretty hot pace. And like, I'm kind of thinking he's trying to set it up for his son on the one maximum effort
Mhm.
to try and just sit off and take it on the end. But I think that plan might go wrong, and Chad Allen might be around there to pick up the pieces in the very end, coming from off the pace. He ran a pretty good race in the Bathhouse Row last time, just not getting there with Crupper, who was a very nice front runner. Crupper ran in the he ran in the Preakness, right, this past weekend?
Yeah,
Yeah.
didn't do very well. He was
No.
what 13 out of 14.
Yeah, he wasn't great in that field, but
Yeah,
you
it
know,
was a bad day to come from off of it,
yeah, no doubt.
especially in that race. None of the back markers came at all, and Solo just kind of cruised right along Taj Mahal, who gassed himself too soon.
Yeah, yeah, but I think Chad Allen is in here with a good shot. Um, you know, I'm just gonna say it now.
Mhm.
If the weather is off, Union Rags is pretty good on the mud. Candy Ride
Yep.
Mare. Um,
Oh
not to
yeah.
say not to say Omaha Beach is any slouch on the mud either. Uh,
Hmm.
but Chad Allen gets Jose aboard, off the pace threat.
Hmm.
I don't want to take what's going to be 1-9 on Desert Gate in the end. So
That's fair.
I just tried to get a little cute with it. Desert Gate's probably going to win, but I think Chad Allen might have the slimmest of chances of beating Desert Gate.
I definitely, I definitely agree with you that Chad Allen is probably the best shot to get Desert Gate. Jose Ortiz is in my opinion, from what I've seen, Jose Ortiz is probably the best jockey in the country at picking up the pieces, especially on dirt.
Oh yeah, I mean we saw Golden Tempo
Yeah.
in the Derby
Yeah.
beating
He is one of
Renegade.
the best. Yeah, he's one of the best closing jockeys in the country, and I've thought that for since I started watching racing. I actually thought the two looked like an interesting horse that if those back markers don't fire, if Desert Gate and Maximum Effort, if they don't come on, the two might be the one to run in the money in second. And I had the 6 kind of overpowering the rest of the field in third. But I definitely agree that I think if Asmussen tries that and Desert Gate doesn't stick, the 6 is probably a likely winner in that pace scenario.
Yeah, and I was in that pace scenario. I was kind of considering Avery Place too, but
Mhm.
I don't know. It just coming out of Sunland. I mean, the Mind That Bird Derby, not a
Yeah,
bad race by any stretch of the margin, but it just doesn't really. I don't think it really stacks up to a race over at Oaklawn like the Bathhouse Row.
I agree, but I thought the two just kind of looked interesting. Tappet Mare, Silver State, kind of taking a shot to get a little bit more money out of my trifecta, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I'll never knock you for trying to take a long shot.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and head over to race 9, $25,000 claimer, going a mile on the turf. Who do you like here?
Landed on the 8. I think. Oh wait, hang on. No, I actually wait. We're in race 9.
Yeah.
Yes, I actually have 2 selections here. I have one for good, fast, and firm on the turf, and one in case the W word comes out.
Yep.
Uh, so if we stay on the turf, I really like the 2 in this spot.
Same here.
I think just based on this pedigree, good solid performances, a win and a second last time out. Not this time, one of the hottest sires in the game right now. He has had so much trouble. Like half of the trips on this sheet, he's got that red little arrow that says, "Boy, something happened here." I think, and he fought through a couple of those to do pretty good. I think if he gets that clean trip, I think he's could be pretty dangerous.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
how did it take him this long to try the turf, right? With that kind of pedigree. Not this time out
yeah,
of a
exactly.
Tabawi mare.
Yeah, there's a lot of horses. I think I looked at this card and I'm like, boy, they need to change surfaces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, bless.
Yeah, I landed on the 6 for second. Thought just kind of barely scraped by at Turfway Park, but I thought he definitely needed that turf change because he's really come alive since he made that surface switch. And just from that perspective alone, I thought he looked really interesting. And then I kind of just landed on the 1 for third, just based on kind of the inexperience. His last race did come on the main track at Fairgrounds, and he kind of showed he did not like the dirt at all. So he definitely needs to be back on turf. He has a little bit of rest coming in, and he just kind of looked interesting. Not much stuck out at me. It looked like a lot of horses here were preparing for that W word
Yeah,
in case the skies opened up and dumped on the track.
yeah,
I'll let you talk. Yeah,
yeah.
I've
After
kind of got like a second set of selections. I'll let you talk, and then I'd like to mention my mud selections.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I got a similar set on the end if it does end up raining. Um, I was not much different from you at all. I took the 2 on top for pretty much all the same reasons as you. You know, the breeding is kind of crazy for a turf horse, and you know he didn't really disgrace himself in that last effort. The only thing he didn't do was win, but he had a troubled trip, you know, the whole way through, and he got up there at a price. Obviously, you know, the bidders knew he wasn't destined for greatness with the $22,000 price tag out of a $250,000 breeding tag. But, you know, at this kind of a level, $25,000 claimer, I mean, I think the breeding could honestly just hold him up in this field. Likewise, I went ahead and put the 1 over top the 6 for second and third. The 1 just getting back to that turf off that maiden win over the fairgrounds. I just thought, you know, as well as the Diodoro Giovanni Franco connection coming back in with that 58%, ultimately ended me with the 1 up over the 6. And, you know, lightly raced horse, a little bit of a rest. Definitely is getting back to the surface that he needs to go on. I mean, the pace scenario, it's not the most ideal. There's not a ton of early speed up in here. But I think he could do pretty well just based off of how he's run in the past relative to this field. And then the 6, pretty much the same, just kind of a price play. First time against winners is kind of scary. I don't love that. But, I mean, 2 efforts on the turf and a second and a first. I think this is definitely where he wants to be, is on the grass. Go ahead with your mud selections, and I'll come in after you on that.
Oh yeah, I'm glad we both kind of looked at this race and we both kind of thought, boy, it looks like a lot of these horses would rather be on the dirt.
Yeah.
Uh, Great minds think alike, so hopefully,
Yes, sir.
hopefully that holds up for us.
Hope
Uh,
so.
so for my mud selections, I landed on the 8. I thought the 8 looked like a really interesting horse to come off of the turf and into the mud. Just based on that Remington Park, it looks like he came off. No, there's an X there. I'm not sure what the X means.
Yeah, they came
I'm
off the turf that day, but the
okay.
track was still fast.
Oh, but it doesn't. Okay, but it doesn't say what dirt on the thing. Okay, whatever.
Weird.
Or that's what it means. Sorry. Only been doing this for a year. I'm
Nah,
still learning.
you're good. You're good.
Yeah, yeah. So I thought, just based on that performance from Remington Park, that he's gonna love the mud if he gets the opportunity to run in it. Landed on the 4 for second. I think uh, when it rains, bet the gray. And when it rains, bet bet anything. If a tap it is anywhere in the 3x3, you bet it. That has been my philosophy when it rains, and usually it works out, breaks even. So I thought the essential quality as the sire, twirling candy mare, candy ride usually throws some pretty good mutters from that sire line. And then just based on his wet dirt form, he has 1 wet start. He had a second place, and just is generally pretty good on the dirt with a 1 in 2 seconds. And then I thought the 13 looked really interesting to run on for third because he's named a Tory, and I'm just glad that in this past performance, the Tory was at one point ridden by Frankie Dettori. That made me happy.
Yep,
So I threw the 13
back at
in
Santa
third.
Anita.
2024. back when before Dettori retired.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, those are my mud selections.
All right, I got you. Well, I'm gonna for the mud. I'm gonna go with the 14Z.
Mm.
Um, you know, I just kind of thought when it was coming off that he's just gonna be speed, and a lot of these horses are gonna end up scratching. And I think Lone Speed in the mud, with it carrying like it will be, and he only came a neck. He only came a neck in the last time he was at mud down here at Lone Star
Mm-hmm.
back in April, and had some trouble getting off a little slow, and came up with a drive and finish, but ultimately ended up third, finishing behind the 4 Essential Time. I put up Essential Time for second. You know, his one muddy start, second place, over the mile, took back, closed late. I just kind of fear if this comes off, we're not going to have a lot of horses in here to begin with. Um, there's going to be a decent amount. There's a couple that I think will scratch with it coming off, but there's just not going to be a lot of pace at all. And I think the 14, if he doesn't start slow like he did in that race back in April, I think if he gets the lead and takes it, I think you could take it the whole way around. Also, that last race form, if Saint Benji wins in race, what was that? Race 5, I want to say. Let me look.
I believe.
Yeah, if Saint Benji wins in race 5, that really definitely bumps up the form of Dottori and Zed,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he just might be able to get it done with Isaiah Wiseman aboard. Yeah, I didn't have too many.
Yeah.
I didn't have too many notes for them going up on the mud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, honestly, I think you might see more scratches if this stays on turf compared to. There were a lot of horses I marked off that these might look pretty good as main track only horses had they been marked as such. You might be looking at kind of like an even split depending on which either way it goes.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, definitely could see that happening.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else to say about race 9?
Uh, and there's one thing about the 14 that like just his last three starts, the numbers he turned just didn't just visually, just as a quick glance at the also eligibles, his numbers just didn't pop off the screen compared to a couple of the others. I thought so. The only thing I maybe we worried about is speed, but I think what you said about him being the lone speed and getting that early jump on everyone else, and also was yeah speed carrying Lone Star and front runners usually finding the wire first. I think you make a good point about the 14 having a good shot in this field if it goes off.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to race 10, Spitestown Sprint. 6 furlongs for 3-year-olds and up. Who do you like here?
I like the 11. Uh, I think Steve Asmussen. I think this is the first, maybe the second horse I finally picked off of all of the bullets he's firing on Memorial Day. Booth. I think Booth's gonna come back here and he's gonna get it. He hasn't won in a year. It's been a year. He's come in second 4 times.
Yeah.
I think he breaks through this time. Uh, I think you know, looked he's looked okay. He's come in second. He's lost by a nose. Oh, that's 3 times. I'm starting to see double. I've been staring at the computer so long. Uh, 3 seconds and 2/4 in his last 5 starts. His last win was a year ago at Pimlico in the Maryland Sprint, the Grade 3. I think he's dropping into a class he's going to like in this race. I think nothing else, not a lot. I think shown at me when I went through it, and I think if he can find it, if he's not lost that step, he's probably going to win this race.
Yeah.
I liked the 3 as well. I thought the 3 had a lot of class to it. John Sadler, Luis Saez. While not usually paired together, I think just they're both good trainer, good jockey, into mischief, leading sire of the country. You just can't look away from, that as an indicator. Even though he's been running mostly allowances, he's had 2 seconds in his two stakes races that were recent. I think I think the three looks good as a second place finish just based on the class. And for third, I found the eight. I want to abuse the last out at Tampa Bay angle for as long as I possibly can. And so, getting Irad Ortiz Jr. on a horse trained by Safi Joseph, same connections as White Abario. I mean, yeah, eight's a pretty easy slot into third.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on Booth. That's where I went. I just kind of looked, I'm like, oh, well, he's ran second all these so many times. But then, he's running second to Tejano Twist, Banishing, Madhouse. And I'm like, well, there's no Banishing in this field. There's no there's no Madhouse in this field. There's no Tejano Twist. So this field's definitely lacking in class where, Booth has been running in these, pretty competitive fields up at Oaklawn. And it's just, he's been almost there and then not really up close, but, holding off some pretty good horses to finish second in these races. And I don't think he's really disgraced himself that much. He's definitely not had the same success he had as he did last year in his 4-year-old season, but I agree with you thinking he might be able to step back up into stakes company and get a win here at Lone Star. I did like Super Tuscan as well. C2 Racing Stable made a pretty big deal about them coming down to Lone Star for Memorial Day, bringing Irad down with them as well. So I don't think they're going to be lacking in any form with their horses. I think they're all going to be firing really good shots here. Safi, of course, great trainer down at Florida and all around the country as well. Like you said, White Abario making a really good run last time in the Oaklawn Handicap. Irad, always dangerous.
Skippy Longstocking too. Don't forget Skippy Longstocking,
Yep.
who got mugged at the line in, was it the Churchill Downs?
Yeah. By
Absolute
what,
mugging.
corporate power
That's
was it?
day. I think it was Corporate Power who just
Yeah.
and Jose Ortiz. I know it was Jose Ortiz because I was mad at Jose for the rest of the weekend.
Not a good weekend to be mad at Jose Ortiz
mugging.
for, huh?
No, it wasn't. It was not a good weekend to be mad at him.
No, not at all. But yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, Super Tuscan looks really competitive in this field. Those allowance races down at Gulfstream in Tampa Bay, they've been just holding real nice form. He's coming back in great form, to be honest. I can't fault him for anything. I already said Irad. Irad, great jockey.
Yeah, Irad. You can't say it enough.
No.
Irad Ortiz. You cannot
Irad.
say that enough.
No. The 7 was a little interesting to me. Golden Sense, obviously a very good sprint sire. This horse has been running up at Oaklawn, coming in pretty respectable places. Won that allowance, 125,000, with Torres aboard back in March. Just a front-running effort here. A lot of speed, obviously, for a 6-furlong race. But I think if he can clear and just kind of sit along, lucky number 7, might be able to get it done for you. Floyd, great jockey down here at Lone Star. Never disgraces himself in races. I thought he might just be interesting at a price where, you're going to see a lot of these just kind of float up. I think Booth is 5-1 is ridiculous on him. He's probably going to be favorite. I don't really see how he's not.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about Stonehenge, the number 5, coming in here off of 3 victories over at Sunland Park. Obviously, a lot of a class jump up here for him, but did you find anything interesting with him?
The one thing I thought was interesting, and I'll tie this back to your comment on the 7, is that if you look at the 7, his 3 straight wins all came with Christian Torres in the saddle. Christian Torres took his business to the 5. He's on Stonehenge instead. That was the one thing that kind of piqued my interest and kind of eliminated both horses for me, is that the 5 is raising class pretty drastically from a 15,000 allowance optional claiming at Sunland into a class with Booth and a Safi Joseph trainee, and that just kind of scared me off the 5. Christian Torres not going to the 7 is either his agent taking business elsewhere and signing up mounts before they knew this horse was going to be here, or that maybe he thought the 5 was a better shot. It's really a coin flip with these jockeys and the decisions they make. Sometimes it's kind of obvious, and sometimes it's like it could just be like one guy got a phone call like 10 minutes at the wrong time. So that kind of eliminated both the 7 and the 5 for me. Is Christian Torres going to the 5?
Yeah, I get you there. And Christian has not rode for Evans this year, so definitely a little bit of a head scratcher there why he didn't go to the 7.
Yeah, I still don't like. Could they trade? Could they just trade rides? That would make me a little.
A little bit more confident on the 7.
Yeah, that'd make me a little more confident.
Yeah. I didn't really see too much else in this field that I liked. You know, like we said before, Booth seems the obvious class. I like, I like the 12, Mikhail W, just for the fact that he's a Texas spread. Obviously didn't do much in the Lake Hamilton last time out at Oaklawn, but won down at Houston back in March at one of our state bred stakes races. I had him the whole way that day over Turn North. I didn't bet him though, unfortunately. It was a decent price too. He was 9-2.
Yeah.
But nothing else for the fact that he's a Texas bred. Do I like Mikhail W?
Yeah, it would be nice to see the Texas breds show up and show some strength on a day when a lot of people are gonna be tuning in as much as they can. But I think also the Texas program it still has a bit of a ways to go. A lot of state programs have a ways to go.
Yeah, definitely. We need to get simulcasting back in the state of Texas first. We need to get our signal back out broadcasting, then we can raise purses again.
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think once you get that signal back out there, I think a lot of people are gonna want to tune in.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
well, all right. Oh, sorry.
Time for race 11. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was thinking it was race 12, and I was like, cool, I can say my piece on Touch Upon a Star and
Not yet.
And no.
Not yet. One more race. Go ahead and introduce it for us.
All right. The $200,000 Ouija board diff staff. 1 mile on the turf, assuming the W word doesn't intrude on us.
Yes.
Tony, who do you like in this one?
I went ahead and took the number 4, Love You Anyway, Steve Asmussen, Luis Saez. I just really loved this horse's last out effort at Keeneland. Just a really nice, just a little bit off the pace effort. Swung right on by them and held off a nice bid from the second place runner Ikana to go ahead up for the win. This horse has some pretty decent form back as well in the Pebbles G3. Ran second there, just kind of got caught in the very end by Fast Market. I think this horse has a very good ability to both sit up on the pace and lead and also just sit a little bit off. It's a very versatile horse. Luis Saez, of course, is a great jockey. It's a tap-it. I mean, what's not to love with him? In second, I went ahead and went with Viv Veuve. Irad coming back on aboard. Definitely the class of the field. Has some very good efforts in some pretty highly graded races. Now, granted, the last win came back in August of last year. Had 3 races since and was beaten a combined 10 lengths. But all those were stakes races. Didn't necessarily disgrace herself in any of them. The last race in the Cardinal, going a mile. Was it 1 1/8 miles? Yeah. Going a 1 1/8 miles. Only finished a length off. Lost some pretty good horses in that race. So definitely has been running up against the top of the class here. But yeah, I took Love You Anyway, just because of the being able to sit up on the pace. There wasn't a lot that I saw in this race. There's a lot of dirt pace. So far as turf pace, the 10 multiplication was kind of the only other threat I could see coming up front and battling for the lead. But I think if Luis Saez kind of looks around and is able to take that first jump on everybody, he might be leading around the whole way of the track and finishing gate to wire.
Yeah, I agree with you on the 4. I landed on the 4 as probably the most likely winner. Uh, that last out of Keeneland, really impressive. Saez on turf has been hot this
Oh,
year.
yeah.
Like, when you tuned into Keeneland, it was either him or John Velasquez winning the race. It was pretty consistent. So, Saez on turf is always a good angle to take. I also thought, once again, you look at that two back, 10th in the Endeavor at Tampa Bay, came back to win that 120,000 allowance. Very impressive turnaround in form, and just goes to show how tough the Tampa Bay fields were, you know, throughout the Tampa Bay meet.
Yeah, no kidding.
I actually landed on the 1 for second. I
Okay.
think Jose Ortiz will pick up the pieces. I thought if this stays on, but doesn't if this stays on yielding, I think this pedigree lends itself to yielding. Anything that's any French horse, in my mind I think yielding, because when you think France, you think Longchamp, and when you think Longchamp, you think, wow, their draining systems are horrible. So most French horses, I tend to think will run really well. Most European horses, I think, will tend to run better in the yielding and in the good. I
Well, I
also didn't
mean,
notice this, but
sorry, I
just
don't.
by a deep impact there. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I mean, look at those first two efforts though, coming over here in the states, both on yielding turf and both pretty well sound defeats. Of course, one came in the New York, which is a grade 1. Can't really fault her there. But that one at Keeneland ran out late, but just kind of ran out of time. And then recently, two back, a yielding turf course over at Keeneland in the Dogwater, finished 10 links back. I don't know if some heavy turf is her best foot track there.
Yeah, but you got a point.
That's kind of what
Yeah,
scared
you
me
got a
off in
point.
the end of using
Yeah.
Miwa for second or third. I was there when she won at Kentucky
Yeah.
Downs. It was a really, or
Oh,
not
nice.
one at Kentucky Downs. No, yeah, one. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, one.
Yeah, I was there for the victory over the allowance optional claimer. I had her that day. She was, I mean, just ultra impressive. But disappointed back out in the ladies marathon, where I also thought she would win. Stellify winning that race. Who you said you
Yeah.
went with the 4 on top ultimately?
Yeah, I went with the 4 on top ultimately. I had Vivoof in third. I think they're both these horses are both the 1 and the 2 are coming out of the same race and off the same layoff. I think they're both going to need a race to get revved up again. Both two horses I'd be interested in taking on their next out, but not anything like, you look at Joe Sharp's numbers 180 days away, 61 to 180 days away, only paying a 92-cent ROI. At a 19% rate, but a 92-cent ROI, kind of definitely like solidified. I don't necessarily want either of these two horses as my overall pick.
Yeah, and isn't it interesting he
And I
sends
think,
out both of them here in this specific
yeah,
race? It's kind of weird he
yeah,
didn't split them up.
yeah, which makes me think he might be just tuning these two up
Yeah,
for something down the line.
I totally agree with that. Was
Yeah.
there anyone else who interested you in this race? Before we
Um,
go to talk about if it comes off.
I think you mentioned the 10. Yeah, you mentioned the 10 as some potential speed, and I think you have a good point about that. I think this is going to be too tough of a class. Potentially a good horse to pick to go as a show or a place. Maybe something you use in a multi-race wager if you go wide in this race. But I don't see this horse getting around the 4.
Yeah, definitely agree on there. Who did you like if it went off in the mud?
Um, honestly, I think if the 4 stays on, she's never started on the dirt, but Tap It by Quality Road lends itself to me thinking this horse could love the dirt. And as I've said before, when it rains, you bet the gray and you bet the Tap It. Love You Anyway happens to be both. Like if the 4 sticks around, I like the 4 for either surface.
Yeah, I don't hate that pick at all. I ultimately went with the 7 if it comes off. Just, with the 1 win in her lifetime, and a really impressive win at that, coming on a muddy surface at Lone Star, going the mile. This exact kind of scenario that would happen if it does come off. Of course, wasn't really facing much that day, but it was a 75 allowance optional claimer that day. So I just kind of put Tizawiz on there, just because she kind of seemed like the best kind of mutter in a field that will probably get scratched down definitely more than that other claiming race earlier in the card if it does come off the turf. I can't. I don't really think that the Ford stays on if it does come off, but I mean, if she does stay, then I can definitely see it coming.
Yeah, I don't know what Asmussen trends to do when it comes to coming off the turf. That's not something I have the easy statistics for, not something I have a pattern in my mind
Yeah, neither of us
to
are Ed
be able to
DeRosa.
say. No,
No.
no, unfortunately not. Um, yeah, I don't know what Steve Asmussen trends to do with that situation. Would hope the Thor would stick around for a mud race. I think just based on the pedigree, I think she'd love the mud.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all from me on this race. Anything else from you?
No, that's all I've got.
All right. Well, let's go on to the ultimate race of this card, the Steve Sexton Mile, the only other graded race in the state of Texas, aside from the Houston Ladies Classic. $400,000 going the mile, 3-year-olds and upwards. Let's hear what you have to say about Touch Upon a Star.
Okay, so this horse, and I did a little bit of writing. I wrote about the New Orleans Classic for the newsletter for In the Money Media. But check
Oh,
that
okay.
out, people who self plug. Hope you don't mind.
You're good.
Touch Upon a Star has not lost in Louisiana in a long time. It's been at least a year and change. He has not lost in the state of Louisiana. Both times he's left the state, he's gone to Lone Star Park for the Steve Sexton Mile. He's
Three
gotten beat
times.
both times.
Three
He's gotten beat
times.
3 times.
Yep.
Well, I don't know why the governor of Louisiana is pissing around with LSU football. He should be calling the National Guard to make sure that Touch Upon a Star does not leave Louisiana. Like, make sure you block off the highway and don't let him leave. It will not end well for anyone involved.
Oh,
He will get
gosh.
beat again. He will not win this race. He doesn't like the mile. I don't think he's not gonna like this class, I don't think. He doesn't like Texas for whatever reason. Just keep him home. Stay in Louisiana.
Oh, man. And
Please.
I saw some people on Twitter talking about how they're going to lump Touch Upon a Star with everything they got. And I'm like, have you looked at the form? He hasn't won this race in 3 attempts over 3 years. And and 2 years ago, he beat Sierra Leone before coming here. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you're going to be in better form
Yeah.
than that.
It's like White Avario going to the Met Mile every year. He's not gonna win. He doesn't like that race. Stop sending him.
Do you think it's just
It's
because
the
he can't
same
get LASIX in
situation.
here?
I don't know. I don't know if it's LASIX. I mean, he didn't have LASIX in the New Orleans, and
No,
well, I thought that field.
he got
That field
LASIX
I
in the New
thought was going
Orleans.
to be. That's a great. Oh, right,
Yeah,
Louisiana's weird.
you can run LASIX ungraded in Louisiana.
That's right. Louisiana's weird that way.
Yeah,
I always forget. I just see graded and I assume no LASIX.
right.
It might be the LASIX. I think you make a good point about that. I also thought like he beat Corporate Power, Westwood, Life and Times. He beat a small but I thought deep field of horses in that race.
Yeah, no kidding.
Pretty convincingly. Um I just I think it might be the distance. even though like he's won Delta Downs, he's won over a mile at Delta, he's won over 7 furlongs at Delta. I don't think he likes this distance at this class. I think that the mile distance in a grade three, I think, is kind of his kryptonite. That and also leaving the state of Louisiana.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's what he wants to do. That being said, the horse I eventually landed on, I landed on Publisher for this race
Really?
because I think just based on okay, how do I okay Morabino Omoide's recent form that he feels like he's lost a step a little
Yeah.
bit. Just looking at how he's run after winning this race last year, is what one win since that. In fields I thought he should have probably been winning.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think the old boy at 6 years old, I think he's lost a step. It pains me to say that he's lost a step because I want him to do good, but I didn't think he was going to. I don't think he's got it. The two, I think Publisher, he might be rounding into form. I just think Asmussen's going to fire at some point, and I think he fires late. I think I've used his horses in the last two or three, yeah, last like 3 races. I think he gets it figured out and gets these horses to the wire in the last few races. Publisher just looked like the one horse that I had the least amount of concerns about.
Yeah.
Is that I think Publisher is just he's solid, he's consistent. Him and Eric Asmussen, they had a really really good run at Oaklawn, 3 wins, won the American Pharaoh. Uh, he just felt like this is his time. It feels like this is Publisher's time. It's like Neo Equos. I think Safi needs to send him back to turf. I thought he looked really good in the Sunshine Turf.
Oh yeah.
Send him back to turf,
Yeah, I don't know. I
please.
don't know what we're doing here, Safi. Like,
Yeah,
put your boy
like
back on turf.
yeah. I think he's a bird. I mean, not a Burnham Square. He's gonna go win a mile and a half. I think he might be a decent turf middle distance horse
Yeah.
to go 7 to 9, 7 to 10.
And at the very
Maybe not
least,
seven.
in those state bred races down in Florida.
Oh yeah, I think he'd run the table on those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Touch Upon a Star I threw out. Neo Equos I threw out. Komorabino I put in third just because I think even though he's lost a step, I think he'll still find his way into the top three. I used Gigante.
Yes. Yes,
Gigante.
sir.
I used him in second.
Gigante. I like to say
Gigante.
Gigante.
Okay. Gigante. Got it. Got it. He's won his last 2 starts. He's won over the Lone Star Surface. I thought Gigante. Yeah, that's how you say it. I thought it looked like an Asmussen one too, and I think Gigante, he's got it.
Yeah, I actually used Gigante on top. I
Oh,
thought,
okay.
yeah, I thought, 4 for 5 on the dirt, has a win over the wet dirt. The last time he lost on dirt was in a stakes race during his 2-year-old season. I think this is don't get me wrong, Gigante's a amazing turf horse. I mean, he's a millionaire on turf. Um, but I think he is kind of like a sneaky play over here on the dirt, especially if it gets wet. He had a very nice run down at Fairgrounds on some wet turf with Jose Ortiz aboard. Now, I am kind of disappointed that Jose is not getting aboard for this race, despite him not being on any other horse in this field. But Stuart Elliott, you can't diss Stuart Elliott here at Lone Star. Great connection down here, winning at 28%. Stuart Elliott with Asmussen running at 20%. I'd like to get Gigante here for a price where I don't think
Yeah.
we're not going to really get a ton of money on the favorite. I mean, you're not going to. Last year, Como Mito Ramoide went off his favorite, despite Touch Upon a Star also being there. I think it was a late odds switch. It was, there's a lot of CAW play down at Lone Star from Elite Turf Club. Unfortunately, you'd expect with it being on track handle only, you're like, oh well, No CAWs, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Wrong. Um, but definitely watch the board on this last race. It might be telling you the winner in the end, but I like the price on Gigante. I think he is a very sneaky horse in this field who's not going to take as much money as these favorites. And I think could definitely sneak in there as a price. The 9 Heroic Move is our Steve Sexton Mile winner 2 years back. Ran in this race last year and was felled by Komermito Moide, and this is Usker. He didn't really have too many excuses in that race. I mean, he looked pretty good coming around the turn and just kind of was empty as he went on. Komermito Moide, and this is Usker looked much the best. He's had some pretty nice races since winning the Zia Champions Stakes over at Zia Park. But he just didn't really feel like it for me in this race. So ultimately, I put Komermito Moide for second. I know his recent form hasn't been the best in the world. He kind of took this same path last year when coming into this race. I don't know what the entirety of that race is at Fawner, but that race at Fawner, he won and then rolled it into a win over here in the Steve Sexton Mile. And then ran second in the Texas Turf Classic the next time, which was really interesting spot for him,
Hmm.
being mostly a dirt horse his whole life.
Yeah.
But I definitely don't hate Komermito Moide here. He's 2 for 2 at Lone Star on the dirt. He's a pace threat where, Touch Upon a Star has weirdly just been off the pace when he's raced here in the Steve Sexton
Hmm.
Mile specifically. He hasn't really been able to make the lead in a lot of cases. And I think Komermito Moide could lead him around if it does get wet again.
Hmm.
I think he could lead him around the whole track. But I put Gigante on top because there is a lot of pace in this race, and I think we could see a little broken pieces. And Gigante is kind of a sneaky dirt horse in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the other Asmussen angle. I think whenever a trainer has two in a field, going with the longer shot is never a bad decision. Also, like, just look at that pedigree. Not this time by an Empire Maker mare. Should love going 8.5. Going 8.
We'll go in 8. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, going 8. I just thought publisher looked the more likelier of the two, but I don't hate the Asmussen horses at all in this race.
Yeah.
Um,
I can't fault you on publisher at all. I mean, really good wet dirt form as well. Obviously,
yeah, just
the
yeah,
super maiden of
feels like
last
it's his
year.
time. Feels like it's his time. Feels like this is the right time for him.
He did put together those 2 back-to-back wins over the sloppy track, breaking his maiden, and then in
Hmm.
that allowance.
Yeah, yeah, and then came back to win the American Pharaoh
Yeah,
over an 8.5.
you're kind of bringing me back on to publisher here.
Oh man, good, good, yeah. And then like if you like he went to the Oklahoma. I think he ran fourth to three of the best horses in the country. So like, there's more class there than I even noticed on my first look through.
Yeah, yeah, no
I mean,
doubt.
yeah, he got beat by 11 and a quarter. He got beat by White Abario, who's won what, $5 million or something like that. So like,
Some crazy amount
clearly,
of money.
yeah, three horses who are all millionaires, and he got fourth. So like,
Yeah,
clearly the best of the rest, and it feels like this spot fits him nicely.
yeah, and Steve
And like,
does
yeah,
real well down here at Lone Star. He's
yeah.
he does not disgrace himself.
Yeah.
Did you have any other thoughts on this race?
Just that I hope my touch upon a star rant didn't go too off the rails. But other than that, I've got nothing else.
All right. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for this first episode then. Thank you so
Uh,
much for joining me. Again, that's Chance Rains. He's been writing a little bit for In the Money Media. He's trying to make it out here in the world of horse racing as a journalist. Any other
Trying my
thing you want
best.
to plug?
Um, can't really plug the internship because that won't be That won't be any actual published pieces. That'll be television production.
Yeah.
Um, just keep an eye on In the Money Media. I've got articles coming out every week on the newsletter that comes out on Substack. And publishing a series of articles. I get to interview some of the top horse players around the country, find out what makes them tick, talk to them about some of their biggest wins, how they got into horse racing. It's called Profile of a Horse Player. The next one should be out relatively soon once I get the go ahead from my boss.
All right. Good deal. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for
Thank
having me
you.
on. It's been an honor.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Thanks for coming. Thanks for making me not do this alone, because Lord knows I tried to do
Heck
this a
yeah.
couple times, and solo show is not for me.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun to have people to talk handicapping with.
Oh
That's what
yeah.
I always say. Some of the best moments I think I've had going to the racetracks is standing next to the guy you don't know at the paddock and just talking about what you see on the horses and what you see on the form.
Yeah. No doubt. No doubt getting out there is the best feeling. But anyways, to
Hmm.
all those listening, I hope you're going to be here with us over on Lone Star Park on Memorial Day, watching the races. Come out, have a blast. Let's keep that weather away. Let's have a good time. Chance, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yep. Hope you see you around later. Bye bye. All right. Uh, just kind of want to take a little side piece here. Thank y'all so much for listening. This is my first time trying any of this kind of stuff. I'm hoping to make this sort of a weekly production, talking about Texas racing, kind of a weekend preview, horses to look out for, that kind of stuff. So if you don't mind sticking around, subscribing to this podcast, uh, subscribing to the YouTube channel, I'd greatly appreciate it. And we're going to try and get some more guests on here talking about, Texas racing, the state of it. This isn't just going to be a handicapping show. We're going to be talking about all things Texas racing, discussing the Texas Racing Commission's meetings, you know, developments, where we're at back with getting simulcasting back on board, all that kind of stuff. Just talking the general of Texas. Texas bred horses outside of the state of Texas, like Moto this weekend, unfortunately did not do the greatest up at Laurel. But Moto, obviously a great horse, bred in the state of Texas. So we're going to be talking about all that. But again, thank you so much for listening, giving me a shot on this. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Hope you have a great day.